Kevin is 41 years old. He makes $94,000 a year. And last Tuesday, he sat across the table from a financial advisor who told him, very gently, very professionally, that he was on track to retire broke. Not struggling, not tight, broke. Kevin is not a reckless person. He has never gambled. He has never made a catastrophic financial decision. He pays his bills on time, shows up to work early, and genuinely believes he is doing the responsible thing. And somehow, none of it added up to anything. The advisor showed him the numbers. At his current savings rate, Kevin would have approximately $210,000 by retirement age. In today's dollars, that generates roughly $700 a month in sustainable income. Combined with Social Security, which may arrive reduced, Kevin is looking at something around $2,400 a month total in retirement. In a country where the average monthly expenses for a retired household are over $4,000, Kevin sat in that chair and did the math. And the math was brutal. Here's the thing though, Kevin is not unusual. He is, in fact, almost exactly average. And that's the problem, because average in America in 2026 is not enough. My name is Daniel, and today we're going through the 7 habits that the research says, not the gurus, the actual research, separate the people who build real wealth from the people who end up exactly where Kevin is sitting right now. Let's get into it. Habit 1. They pay themselves first, without negotiating with themselves. Kevin's savings habit looks like this. He gets paid, he pays rent, he pays utilities, he buys groceries, he fills the car. He handles whatever came up that month, because something always comes up. And if anything is left at the end, he saves it. There is almost never anything left at the end. This is called paying yourself last. And it is the single most reliable way to ensure that wealth building never becomes a priority, because there is never enough left over to make it one. The Millionaires, in a landmark study of 10,000 high net worth Americans, did something different. 94% of them reported consistently living below their means. And the mechanism they used wasn't discipline. It was sequence. They paid themselves first, before rent, before groceries, before anything. A fixed percentage of every paycheck moved to savings and investments the moment it arrived, automatically, before they could see it or spend it. On a $94,000 salary like Kevin's, 15% is $14,100 per year. Invested from age 35 at a 7% average return, that single habit, just the sequence change, nothing else, produces approximately $800,000 by retirement. Kevin doesn't need to earn more. He needs to change the order. Habit 2. They don't finance things that go down in value. Here's a number that should stop you cold. The average monthly car payment in the United States hit $808 in 2026. Not a luxury vehicle. The average. And 13% of new car buyers are now signing 7-year loan agreements. 84 months of payments on a vehicle that will be worth roughly 40% of its purchase price by the time the loan is done. You borrow $44,000, you pay back $54,000 with interest. You now own something worth $18,000. That is the car payment equation, in full. The millionaires in the 10,000-person study, their most popular car brand was Toyota. They bought used. They drove vehicles until repairs outpaced the value, which for a well-maintained Honda or Toyota takes 12 to 15 years. And they treated transportation as a function, not a statement. The $808 per month they refused to send to a lender, invested instead at a 7% average return, becomes $490,000 over 25 years. Millionaires don't avoid nice cars because they can't afford them. They avoid depreciating debt because they understand what it actually costs. And what it actually costs is not the sticker price. It's everything that money could have become. Habit 3. They let boring investments do the work. Marcus grew up watching his father chase hot stocks. He remembers kitchen table conversations about tips, about the next big thing, about the company a friend of a friend had inside information on. This is the first 8-month round of meeting today. His father worked until he was 71, not by choice. Marcus took a different path. At 26, he opened a 401k. He picked a broad index fund. He set his contribution to 12% of his paycheck. And then, and this is the part most people can't do, he did absolutely nothing. No tinkering, no market timing, no pivoting to whatever sector was trending. Nothing. Here is what the research says about that decision. A study tracking investor behavior across decades found that the average investor significantly underperforms the funds they're actually invested in because they buy after markets rise, sell after markets fall, and tinker constantly in between. The gap between what the fund returned and what the investor actually received because of their own behavior averaged more than 1.5% per year. Over 30 years, 1.5% per year is the difference between having $800,000 and having $1.2 million. Lost entirely to the act of trying to be clever. Marcus is 54 now. His index fund has been through 3 major crashes. He didn't sell through any of them. His balance is $1.1 million. His father's balance, after a lifetime of chasing better options, less than $90,000. Same country, same era. Completely different outcome. From one decision made at 26 to stop trying to be smart and just be consistent. Habit 4. They know exactly what they own and what they owe. Diane is a nurse practitioner. She earns $112,000 a year. She could not, on the morning I'm describing, tell you her net worth to within $100,000. She knew she had some savings and a retirement account somewhere and some credit card stuff she was handling. She had a vague sense that things were okay. And she had been living inside that vague sense for 11 years. The millionaires in the research described something completely different. They tracked their finances with what researchers called unusual precision. They knew their net worth. They knew their account balances. They knew their interest rates. They knew specifically whether their financial life was moving in the right direction or not. This is not about obsessing over money. It's about having accurate information to make decisions with. Diane finally sat down and ran the actual numbers. Net worth, $47,000. At 43 years old, on $112,000 per year. After 11 years of handling it, the number was not the punishment. The number was the information that finally allowed her to make a real plan. 12 months later, her net worth had increased by $31,000, not because her income changed, but because she could finally see clearly what she was working with. You cannot optimize what you don't measure, and most people are navigating their entire financial lives by feel, in the dark, wondering why they keep bumping into walls. Habit 5. They guard against the one event that erases everything. James built $180,000 in investments over 14 years. Careful, consistent, unglamorous. He was proud of it in the quiet way people are proud of things they built slowly. Then he got sick. Nothing catastrophic, a hospitalization, some follow-up procedures, a few months of reduced work. Medical bills, $34,000. Lost income, $22,000. Total financial impact, $56,000. He didn't lose everything, but he lost 31% of everything he had built in 14 years, in 4 months. The habit that separates millionaires isn't just building wealth, it's protecting what they've built. The research is consistent. High net worth individuals maintain emergency funds of 6 to 12 months of expenses in accessible accounts. They carry adequate disability insurance, the coverage most people skip because it doesn't feel urgent until the exact moment it becomes the only thing that matters. They do not expose their portfolios to risks that a single event can erase. Wealth is built over decades. It can be destroyed in months. The millionaire habit is not just accumulation, it's protection, specifically designed to prevent the single bad year from taking the entire decade. Habit 6. They don't upgrade their life every time they upgrade their income. The promotion arrives, the raise hits the account, and something ancient and entirely human wakes up and says, "You deserve better now." Better apartment, nicer car, fancier dinners, upgraded everything. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it is the primary reason people earning 6 figures end up with nothing, while teachers and mechanics and administrative assistants quietly build 7-figure portfolios on incomes that shouldn't, according to the lifestyle inflation playbook, allow it. Here is the habit the research documents in the Millionaire group. When income increased, spending increased by a fraction of the raise, not by the full amount. The rest went directly to investments, moved automatically before the lifestyle could absorb it. Author Thomas Stanley, who spent decades studying American millionaires, found that the typical millionaire in his research lived in a house worth far less than they could afford, drove a car far cheaper than their income suggested, and spent on experiences and relationships, not status and appearances. The gap between what they earned and what they spent was the engine, and they protected that gap aggressively, specifically because they had seen what the gap could become when compounded over time. Kevin gets a $12,000 raise next year. If he lifestyle inflates the full amount, which is what most people do, his savings rate doesn't change. If he invests $800 per month of that raise and keeps the rest, investing it from age 42 at 7% for 23 years, that single decision on a single raise produces approximately $540,000. One raise, one decision about how to handle it. $500,000. The gap is everything. Habit 7. They never stop learning how money works. Ronald Reed was a gas station attendant in Vermont. He swept floors at a department store for extra money. He drove an old pickup truck. He wore a coat held together with a safety pin that his neighbors quietly pitied. When he died in 2014 at age 92, his estate was worth $8 million. He left most of it to the local hospital and library. His neighbors were stunned. His financial advisor was not, because she knew what they didn't. Ronald Reed had spent decades reading. Not trading, not speculating, reading. He visited the local library regularly, studied how companies worked, how dividends accumulated, how compound interest operated over time. He understood the machine, and then he ran it quietly, patiently, for 70 years. The millionaires in the 10,000-person study overwhelmingly described themselves as continuous learners, not finance professionals, not investment experts, people who refused to stay confused about how money worked, and who understood that confusion in finance is expensive. A single percentage point of fees misunderstood can cost $100,000 over a career. A tax-advantaged account overlooked for a decade costs real, calculable money. An insurance gap that never gets filled can erase years of accumulation in a single event. Education doesn't just teach you what to do, it teaches you what not to do. And in personal finance, avoiding the expensive mistakes is often worth more than finding the brilliant moves. Ronald Reed never took a finance class. He just decided quietly, privately, early, that being confused about money was a choice he wasn't willing to make. That decision made him $8 million. Back to Kevin. Kevin walked out of that financial advisor's office and sat in his car for a while. He didn't make any dramatic decisions. He didn't open 15 accounts or call a broker or subscribe to anything. He just sat there and let the math settle. Then he went home, opened his 401k app for the first time in 2 years, and raised his contribution from 4% to 11%. He set up a separate savings account and automated a $400 transfer every payday. He called his insurance provider and discovered he had no disability coverage and added it. He started tracking his net worth in a simple spreadsheet, not obsessively, once a month. None of these are dramatic. None of them required a personality transplant or a sudden windfall or some secret knowledge reserved for people with more money than Kevin has ever had. They are just habits. 7 of them. Available to Kevin on the same Tuesday, he sat in that advisor's chair. If he's willing to do what the data says the people who end up differently are willing to do, he is, it turns out. And so are you. Now you know exactly which ones matter.